Hello friends, you're welcome to my complete Java course. In today's video lecture, we are going to learn what is JDK, JRE and JVM. In this video lecture, we learn the complete or depth architecture of JVM and we will understand what is the functionality of each component in the JVM. So let's start. What is JDK? What is JRE? And what is JVM? Difference between JDK, JVM and JRE. So first we will talk about what is the Java Development Kit or JDK. The JDK stands for Java Development Kit. JDK is used for developing Java applications. It is basically a software development environment. JDK includes Java Runtime Environment JRE. JRE has loader, interpreter, a compiler called JavaC, a document generator, JavaDoc, an archiver, jar, and other tools required in development. So basically JDK is a development toolkit. It provides the tools for developing a Java application. JDK is used for loads the code, verifies the code, executes the code, and provides a runtime environment. So you can see in the picture Java Runtime Environment JRE. JRE has the main component JVM, Java Virtual Machine. We will learn in depth about the Java Virtual Machine plus library classes plus development tools. So JDK, if we define a JDK, JDK equal to JRE plus development tool. So this is the JDK. JRE, which is Java Runtime Environment plus development tools. So this complete is called the JDK. And JRE is equal to JVM plus library classes. So this in the byte box is called the JRE, and this white box plus development tools is called the JDK. Now what is JVM or Java Virtual Machine? A virtual machine is a software implementation of a physical machine. Java was developed with the concept of WORA, means write once, run anywhere. You write the code and compile it in a one machine and you can run that code on any machine. That is the concept of the Java, which runs on a VM virtual machine. The compiler compiles the Java file into a Java dot file. Then that dot class file is input into the JVM, which loads and executes the class file. Below is a diagram of the architecture of the JVM. So Java compiler converts Java class to dot class file. This dot class file is loaded and executed by the JVM. So now just look about the JVM architecture. So this is a JVM architecture. We will learn each and every component in depth. So first is when you compile the .java file, it will create a dot class file. Now this dot class file goes to the loader class loader subsystem. Class loader subsystem has a three component. One is loading, another is linking and initialization. In the loading part, there are three loader for loading the dot class file: bootstrap class loader, execution class loader, and application class loader. So let's I show you what is the uses and functionality of these loader classes. So how does the JVM works? As shown in the above architecture diagram, the JVM is divided into three main subsystems: class loader subsystem, runtime data area, and execution engine. This is a class loader, this is a memory area, and this is the execution engine. So this is the three part of the JVM. Okay. Now, first one is class loader subsystem. Java's dynamic class loading functionality is handled by the Java class loader subsystem. It loads, links and initializes the .class file when it refers to a .class for the first time at runtime, not compile time. When the .class file comes in the runtime to the JVM, JVM first load by the help of the loader for the execution. So number first is loading. Class will be loaded by this component. Bootstrap class loader, extension class loader, and application class loader are the three class loaders that is used for the .class file loading. Number one, Bootstrap class loader is responsible for loading classes from the Bootstrap class path. Nothing but rt.jar. Highest priority will be given to this loader. So Bootstrap class loader is responsible for loading the rt.jar file. These are the highest priority jar which is loaded by the Bootstrap loader. Where is the rt.jar? So when you install the JDK, so let's I show you rt.jar. So this is the installation path: program C, program files, Java, JDK, and you JDK, then JRE. In the JRE lib folder, you will get the rt.jar. This is the rt.jar. So the class file inside the rt.jar is loaded by the Bootstrap class loader. Number two, extension class loader is responsible for loading classes which are inside the ext folder of GRE lib. So let's I show you where is the ext folder. So this is the path of installation of JDK. If you open the installation JDK, then go to the JDK, JRE and lib. In the lib, you will get a folder ext. So whatever the class file or jars is available, this is the jar, and in these jars there are a lot of class files. So these class files is loaded by the help of the extension class loader. Now third one is application class loader, responsible for loading application label class path. Path mentioned environment variables, means whatever the classes we create, that .class file will be loaded by the application class loader. Number two, linking. So linking provide mainly given functionality. Number one, verify. Bytecode verifier will verify whether the generated bytecode is proper or not. If verification fails, we will get the verification error. When we convert a Java file to .class file, in the .class file there are the bytecodes. So these bytecodes is verified by the linking process. Number two, prepare. In the prepare process, for all static variables, memory will be allocated and assigned with the default value. If you define static fields in your class, then in this phase all the static variables get the memory and assigned with the default value. Number 3 is resolve. All symbolic memory references are replaced with the original reference from method area. What is method area? We will learn within a few seconds. Number 3 process of the loader system is initialization. This is the final phase of class loading. Here all static variables will be assigned with the original values and the static block will be executed. Now we will talk about the runtime data area. So what is the runtime data area? Let's I show you in back. So now we will talk about this runtime data area. So there are 5 areas: method area, heap area, stack area, PC register and native method stack. So let's discuss one by one. Runtime data area. The runtime data area is divided into 5 major components. Number 1, method area. All the class label data will be stored here, including static variables. There is only one method area per JVM and it is shared resource. Number 2, heap area. All the objects and their corresponding instance variables and arrays will be stored here. There is also one heap area per JVM since the method and heap areas share memory for multiple threads. The data stored is not thread safe. Means multiple thread can be executed simultaneously on the method area and the heap area. Number 3, stack area. For every thread, a separate runtime stack will be created. When we create a thread, a runtime stack will be created. For every method call, one entry will be made in the stack memory, which is called stack frame. As you call a method, one entry goes to the stack. So in the stack there are multiple frames. So whatever the instruction executed in the method, that instruction, variables and all the information is stored one by one in the frames. All local variables will be created in the stack memory. The stack area is thread safe since it is not a shared resource. The stack frame is divided into 3 sub entities. Number 1, local variable array. Related to the method, how many local variables are involved and the corresponding value will be stored here. Number 2, operand stack. If any intermediate operation is required to perform, operand stack acts as runtime workspace to perform the operation. Number 3, frame data. All symbols corresponding to the method is stored here. In the case of any execution, the catch block information will be maintained in the frame data. Number 4, memory is PC register. Each thread will have separate PC register to hold the address of the current execution instruction. Once the instruction is executed, the PC register will be updated with the next instruction. So suppose you are executing a method. So after the executing a method, what the next instruction, what the next execution, that entries will go into the PC register. So it will not a waste of time after the complete the execution of any method or instruction. It will take immediately next instruction from the PC register. Number 5 is native method stack. Native method stacks holds native method information for every thread. A separate native method stack will be created. So native method stack holds the native method information. What is the native method? Native method is the method which is written in the other language like a C and C++ plus. So there are some methods which are written in the other language, and that method you want to use in the Java, that is called the native method, and that native method is stored in the native method stacks area. Number 3 phase is execution engine. Third phase is execution engine of the JVM. The bytecode which is assigned to the runtime data area will be executed by the execution engine. The execution engine reads the bytecode and executes it piece by piece. So there are many phases of execution engine. Number 1 is interpreter. The interpreter interprets the bytecode faster but executes slowly. The disadvantage of the interpreter is that when one method is called multiple times, every time a new interpretation is required. Number 2, JIT compiler. The JIT compiler neutralizes the disadvantage of the interpreter. The execution engine will be using the help of the interpreter in converting bytecode. But when it finds repeated code, it uses the JIT compiler, which compiles the entire bytecode and change it to native code. This native code will be used directly for the repeated method call, which improve the performance of the system. So basically JIT compiler is used, suppose a code is executed again and again. So it will compile that code and make it as a native code. So now the second time requirement will come, so it will not need to create that code as a bytecode. Now you can directly use that code. Number 2.1 is intermediate code generator. Produce intermediate code. Next functionality of execution engine is code optimizer, responsible for optimizing the intermediate code generated above. It optimizes the code so it will become the more faster. Next one is target code generator. So it is responsible for generating machine code, so it can be executed by the machine, because bytecode convert into the machine code, and because machine always work on the 0 and 1 form. Now next concept is profiler, a special component responsible for finding hot spot, that is whether the method is called multiple times or not. If a method is executing multiple times, so that is called the profiler. So basically a component which responsible for finding the hotspot. Hotspot finding means finding that methods that are executing multiple times. Number 3 is garbage collector. Collects and removes unreferenced objects. Garbage collection can be triggered by calling system.gc. If you want to call the garbage collector automatically, then JVM call the garbage collector automatically. But if you want to call the garbage collector manually, then you can call by the system class. There is a method GC. So you can call the GC method of the system class for calling the garbage collector. But the execution is not guaranteed. Garbage collection of the JVM collect the object that are created. When you will call the GC method of the system class, it not call the garbage collector immediately, but yes, it will call the garbage collector, but when it will call the garbage collector, not it is not the responsibility of the system.gc. When it will get the chance for calling the garbage collector, it is totally depend on the JVM. Next one is Java Native Interface, JNI. JNI will be interacting with the native method libraries and provide the native libraries required for the execution engine. Means native library means the libraries which provided by the C, C++ and any other languages, and that library want to be used in the Java. So that library we can interact with that library by the help of Java native interface. Native method libraries. This is a collection of native libraries which is required for the execution engine. So friends, thank you for watching this video lecture. I hope you enjoy this video lecture. In this video lecture, we cover all the component of the JVM. So this is the JVM architecture, and in the interview room, mostly time the people ask what is the internal architecture of the JVM, and they will ask the method area or memory management in the JVM. So if you understand this architecture of the JVM, then you can be clear every question from the memory management and the JVM related any questions. So thank you for watching this video lecture, and watch my next video lecture for learning new things in Java.